refreshed. Connecting, great. Good. Full screen mode. Good. Good. Select the objects that you want. You're going to go to the glasses icon and you're going to hide elements. Hide elements. Oh, no, sorry. Other way around. Isolate elements. Don't start off like that. Isolate elements. Isolate element. Okay, good. So now we don't have all that other stuff to bother us when we're trying to model this. Actually, I might just actually bring back the levels. No, we don't. We don't need the levels. I'll explain why. So we're going to go to massing and site. Massing site. What a place. Yes, I know. That's fine. I'm going to call this. Sorry, the caps lock on my machine. I've switched those off. Okay, good.
Is there a difference if I go? So now you went massing and then create.
No, it's it's the same thing. Mass in place. If you're doing it through components, mass in place, it's exactly the same thing. Same thing. Now, I'm gonna pick. Let's just pick a view quickly, like a 2D view maybe. Let me just see if there's a section of that wall. Let's just go to plan quickly because I might have to create some.
So there are two elevations that I've kept.
Okay, good.
Are those?
Yes. Okay, good. Elevation 1. Now, in order to make this work, we're going to go and say create. So I'm going to create a reference plane. Okay, and I'm going to say set. I'm going to say pick plane. I'm going to pick this wall as my plane.
Yeah.
I think it's the side. Here it is. I had it. There we go. Okay, good. I'm going to say show so I can see the work plane. Here I'm going to create a series of reference planes, and they're going to be. Okay, just make one. And they're going to be rough. Okay. Okay, so this one I'm going to grab, and now I'm going to array it. You're going to copy it down a couple times. You do this once or two or three times. Then you grab them all again, and then you copy them now. Because they don't technically array like other elements do. But say now that's enough system. DI, use some dimensions very quickly. You want to use dimensions quickly because what you can do is you can do that, equals. Then you can grab this bottom guy, and then you can, so you can get your system working well.
I knew about it. I didn't know that if you kept the dimension, you can.
Now, but watch this. If I delete the dimension, watch this, delete. Now it's going to ask, it should have. Why didn't it do that? It's supposed to tell me keep this dimension. Let me just check if there's something not. Usually if you delete them, you know why? It's in the family. These dimensions won't be visible when you leave the family. Okay. If you're out of a family and you do this, it will ask you keep constraints. Then they're always constrained, but you don't see the dimensions. Okay.
I always wondered what that message was.
So if you leave it in place, and then if you hover over that line, that dimension will come in a dashed line. Then you can unconstrain it again. Okay, so now all we have to do is grab this guy, call this 1, 2, 3. Because we don't want to go and put thousands of levels in our 5. So that's 6. Okay, and this will be 7. 7. Okay, good. Now, if I go to 3D view and I go and say set, guess what happens? Here my little, and I go show. Here's my little work plane for that level the whole time. So now you don't actually have to use levels. You just use, and that will apply around the corner. It applies right around the corner. Okay, so that's actually quite clever what they did. So now, what I'm going to do is, which is your best ground floor plan?
That one, that's 0.
This. Okay, good. Now, I've got the shape now, and it's going to be this wall now that I'm going to start following. So what I'm going to do is, and this for this instance, I'm going to say set. I'm going to pick level 1. Level 1. And this is just pure line work. Here, if you want to, you can actually put more grids. You can put more grids again. So maybe let's do that, but this time I'm going to use a reference line, and I'm going to use it parallel to that, because technically this acts like a grid now, but this is not that important for the levels. This is a secondary type of grid. And now I'm going to use the copy tool again. Copy, so that's where it will start Here you just go and add a couple of these in the grid that you want, and you do this rough because you're going to use your dimensions again to help you. Okay, so now that's it there. Di, sorry. Good, grab that. Grab that, equals. Sorry, let's just grab this one over here and pull this. Good. Grab this one. If you move this one. Okay, so that one, we can align it to tab, this point there. So it starts there technically. And now this guy, we can move it, move. And all that this is doing for us is just giving us a snap end there. Okay, good. This guy, I'm going to move this. Now these sometimes have an anchor. If you select on these, they're anchored from one side. If you use these dimensions sometimes, okay. But this technically, let's just move this guy. Snap end. Good. That's good, and that stayed in the right place. Good. Now these are just going to help us when we draw the squiggly line. So I'm going to go and say, I'll make it just flat on the one side here, but we're just going to use the same workflow. So here I'm going to start with this line work. Make sure that you're working on plane. None of the 3D snapping stuff at all. Okay. Now, we're going to go and create. So Senat will do that. Back to there. It's flat again. And then it comes up one more time. And then back down again. We'll play with that for now. I'm just going to try and get one set to work. And that back to there. And then maybe back to there. Pick line tool so it follows this curve around here. Trim that with that. On it. Went in the wrong way. That should have gone. Let's do that. Trim that. That with that. Sorry. I'll get that sorted out. Let's do that. Split line tool. Split. This is the weirdest thing. Get rid of that. Delete that. And we'll split this again. Split that there. Come on. Split. So tab. Delete that. Delete that. Good. So trim that with that. Now I'm going to use my pick line tool again. That line, trim that. Shucks.
I think it's
I should have put that on silent. All of that. Okay, good. Now, I'm going to create just a bit of line work at the back here quickly. From there. Now I'm going to offset this by 50. So I'm going to say line, pick. I'm going to say pick line tool, offset by 50. Close this. Okay, now this is a closed set of, that's a closed set of line work. Okay, now I can go to an elevation view now and I can copy that a couple times, but I can always tell it to move down to the correct. So you can copy it, copy it, copy it, copy it. So go to my elevation, select all of this line work because there's nothing else in here. Select all of that stuff and I'm going to copy this guy. Copy. Constrain off, copy it there, constrain off, copy it there. Okay, so technically what I'm doing is I'm now, okay, I didn't select all that line work, damn it. Should have selected everything. So let's just select everything in this view rather. Go back to elevation view because now technically it's selected. Copy. Yeah, that's better. Constrain. Now in 3D view, you can go and edit this node. So if you tab on this bit of line work, tab, You see it has these little nodes. So you can now go, if you went to your floor plan, you can now go and play with this node. Okay, so you can move the node back. You can see now you can move that node back like that. This one, I'm going to move this middle one back, so I'm going to grab that node. So this, you can actually move it in this view as well. Now, if you grab that one, and that one, and now you're going to go and say create void. That's exactly what it's doing. So it's creating that, see that surface now. Okay, now this will work well in the sense that if I want to go and make this all a face, the brickwork that I'll now, if I used a material on this, it would work correctly. Okay, it'll start looking correctly. But you see, the problem that I have with this thing, that it makes curves all the time. It doesn't make it faceted. Okay, so, but you would get the result that you're looking for in some degree. And you just keep copying those up. Then if I finish this place, and if I go and say reset temporary height, now if you go and say architecture, wall, by face, okay, architecture, wall, apply. Now, this will work a lot better because it's technically a closed, and you'll see they'll join correctly. Okay, it's fine. And just go to wall. So now you see it's starting to work in line with that, and it'll give you those lines, those panels now. Okay. But I found out something quite interesting. There is another workflow. You can export this straight into and format. You can make it look like a mesh, and it loads straight back in.
I don't know that program.
I know. So I've been looking for workarounds because technically, mesh the mass only works with organic. When it comes to like an old school mesh, it doesn't work. I've tried. Trust me, I've been this way. But this will be good enough for what you're doing. And maybe in this instance, leave the mass in place and just give the mass a material, and then you just see the mass.
Yeah. And then if I model with the handles, then I could just put it, because this is technically a surface.
Yes,
So then
and
the
you,
handles would just go
yeah,
onto the surface.
you know how to make a family that is surface based, not ref. Okay, so if you guys, okay, that's actually quite easy, and it'll be a generic model. You're going to go to new. So you're going to go to, let's just close this mass.
Wait, just need to say cancel again.
Oh, yeah, cancel. Okay, good. I'll leave that in place, so at least you got that. Delete that. Delete that. Okay, so that's cool. That's starting to work nicely. And at any time, you can go and edit in place. You can continue doing what I was doing. Okay, so this, you could literally dissolve this whole thing. So you can say dissolve, and then it gives you back your form. Okay, so that's neat. Then you just copy those up, add more detail. Okay, good. So I'm just going to undo that just so that you know how that works. Finish that. Good. Now, if you want to make little components to sit on that, you're going to go to architecture. So you're going to go to file, new, family, and here you're going to go and say metric, new generic model, because it's going to be a generic model. You can make it a fixing or furniture. It's totally up to you. So you can make it furniture if you don't want to cut through it, maybe up to you. But you can always on the fly, if it's not working, change it to, okay. Now what you do is here you get, it's going to tell you always vertical, and here you're going to say work plane based, and you're going to uncheck that. You see this work plane based. Now what it does is this will now work like a work plane. So whatever I'm modeling here, so I'm just going to create a quick model here. Let's just extrude this little box for now. I'm just going to call this test. Okay, go 3 view. So it's just this little block in essence. Okay, file, export to, oh no, so save as, file, save as. And you can go and get a SketchUp family of the little thingy and stick it in here. So I'm just going to put this on your desktop if you don't mind. We'll call this test because then we can get rid of it. Test, load into project. Now, If you go to 3D view, you see here, place on face. So here's looking for a face. There, check. Voila. Check it, and it's actually perfectly on that face. Voila. Then you can go and put them all over the place. Yeah.
And then I can, if I import a SketchUp model, then even if it's not exploded, I can still say that it's to go onto the face.
You literally replace this block. I'll leave this block in here. You literally replace that block with that SketchUp model, and then you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. There was another way. I actually worked out how you can actually make these shapes in a normal in-place model. They just take a bit of work.
Yeah, I also
You got to you just have to. Yeah, trust me. I tried. You can get it right, but it's going to take an hour. So I would have actually modeled this in SketchUp, just this thing in SketchUp, and then brought it back in, put it on the layer so it's nice, and then you'd still be able to follow the face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. I just wanted to ask one question. So I need to put beams into. So I would cheat my way through it and just model it.
You can.
But I don't know if there's a better way.
No, there is a way. If you go to structure, there's beams. Beams. Now, beams work a bit strange. Here, go and find a concrete one. If there's not a concrete one, you're going to go to insert. Do you want them to be concrete?
Yeah, they are.
Okay, yeah. Go here very quickly. Trust me, this is quite quick. Go here. United Kingdom, very good. You go to structural framing. It's in the structural framing. Concrete.
So they're just like square.
Yeah. You use a rectangle, load. Now, these things, I'm going to put them in. Let's go to your first floor. Which is your first floor here?
You can just keep it in space plan. My project just set up.
Okay, so let's put it in here. I'm going to make them follow this. I'm going to leave that for now. Now, this thing space, automatic heights, usage. So here you need to just pick the correct level. I'm going to leave it on space planning, and I'll explain why, because it's very easy to go and let's just find a well here, snap center. You're not going to see these yet. I'll explain why. You're going to have to actually create a ceiling view to start seeing these things.
There is a ceiling.
There is a ceiling level.
Yeah, so.
There we go. Okay. But you see, first thing what it does is it puts it on this ground level. So you actually want to work on the level above, because technically these things work down. Hey, Andy. Okay, here, starting offset. So that's going to be 2600 for now. And 2600, 2600. These work slightly differently. So there's my beam at 2600 by 2600. Concrete beam. Maybe make this 3200.
So I measured to the socket. It's 4.2 meters.
To the underside of this beam. Okay, good.
The underside of the.
All right. Now you see this justification. You can change that to bottom. Watch what happens. This thing flips around. Beams work slightly differently, and that was how much? 3600. Okay. How big is this beam? Would you guess? I'm telling you now, it's going to be about it's about a 300 by a 600 roughly. Voila.
And for example, could I join, like, let's say, okay, I cheated my way through some of these columns.
No. That's cool. That's cool.
Could I technically, like, join them?
You can. If you draw two columns, it'll actually make it look perfectly. And if this was a proper structural concrete column, it would actually join that concrete column. But leave it like that. For what you're doing, watch this. I'm going to show you this. What is this made out of? What are these extrusions?
I just did a drywall later.
Okay. But technically, watch this. You can join the stuff. If you go to architecture and you go to join.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if I could just go.
Yeah, modify, join. Watch.
Oh, perfect. That's what I want.
check that out. That's cool, hey?
Yeah.
But Pierre, I'm not, and I want to listen in. Cool.
Okay, cool, but I know how to figure out.
Yeah, so those are structure, systems, beam. So here it always starts, here it's looking for a reference level. So let's just say level 2 for now. Now, let's go and draw. Let's go to 3D view. That's working off that reference level the whole time now. I know it should have. Anyway, those guys, it worked off the wrong one because the level was set again. So that's justification is going to be bottom, and this is going to be 3600. But watch this, you can just go align. Check our joins. These beams are designed in a very specific way. They actually join. They will actually join. And what's neat is, what I would do is I'll copy these guys just like this and go to seating view, and then I'll make these things align. I'll actually work in seating view. That's where you should be working. Seating view. If you don't see your beams, just increase the view range. This might have to go a lot lighter. So say unlimited and unlimited. So you see, in this case, because it's one level, and you must make this fine, and then you'll see them.
But the view was at 2 points. So even though it was at 2.3, it should show.
No, it should be showing. Let's just check here. Space planning. No, this is perfect. That must be it. No, that's correct. We should be seeing those beams. Why not? And I did say unlimited, so let me just go back here. View range. And let's just say level above, 3600. And let's make this 4 meters, 4000. This works in the opposite direction, okay. So I know it seems strange, but you'll see now. Let me just see why those things are not visible. Just check how high they are. DI. It could be the wrong ceiling level. I'll tell you why. It could be the wrong ceiling level. First, we need to go to View, Plans, Reflective Ceiling Level. Now we're seeing it properly. Okay. So now this beam, you actually want to work in this view because then you can use this. So if you move this guy, you just draw like a reference line that you can snap these things, and then you can create these. But what's neat is because you got one, you can literally keep this one there. Now you can copy this guy, snap center. Okay, it should have been there, but that's fine. But you see what I'm doing there? You can just move them. You can draw some down like that. These guys are always going to connect. I'll leave it just like this, so at least you know. Good.
Perfect, thank you so much. Should I say stop sharing?
Yeah. Stop.